Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Santi Prakash. I would be taking the session today. So we'll be discussing on the technical security on aspects. So we have, we reach, we have 50 plus people live already. So we'll be today's session will be taking discussing on the security threats, how we can avoid those basically, right? Like say, what are the best practices we can follow to secure our data. It can be official data, it can be a personal data, right? So we'll be discussing those topics today. If you have any questions or uh, you know want to discuss things, please post it in comments. We will get back to you as soon as possible. Yes. So our today's topic is cyber threats and how we can avoid those. So what is cyber security basically, right? Uh, where and all we actually face problems. Today you see, right? Like there's a lot of data coming inbound, outbound, right? How we are going to protect the data? It can be you send an email to the client. When they respond to you, right? Depending on your email solutions or the systems, we are not sure whether the data is coming from a reliable source or not. So there will be a lot of malware will be there, um, phishing, ransomware. Those we'll discuss. In a couple of minutes we'll discuss what is this. So what is the common threats what we face, right? Like few are phishing attacks, uh, which will trick us to submit our data, like say username, passwords. So maybe you will see some examples in the session. Malware attacks, uh, which can damage your data. The main concern would be ransomware. Maybe you might have not seen these attacks screens and all, but yeah, I'll take you through some of the examples here. So, what is phishing and social engineering? We're talking about here, right? So, it can be a emails or some kind of communication which you might receive online. Say you might get a WhatsApp message asking you to fill some data, right? Or maybe you might get a call asking your personal data. Say they want to understand how many people are in your organization, or what kind of operating systems you guys are using. So this might be simple call as well. So they will take your data, and then according to that they'll start creating the kind of strategy to uh, infect your systems basically. It can be a network. So I'll show you some examples here, maybe to give you a understanding. The phishing emails, you might receive some kind of promotional email, right? Which will show you you have to click on that link to get some discounts or something. or it can be a one of your colleague, right? I mean, they will represent one of your colleagues name, or your colleague, relatives, or family members name, and they'll try to ask you certain data. Let me pull out some. Yeah, you can see here the Ashman Bharat phishing attack uses Indian government's portal, to capture data basically. Yeah, so this can be a one great example here. Someone might represent ICICI Bank, or one of the known banks, and they'll send you to click on one link. We are not sure when you're clicking on the link. We are not sure where exactly the URL is taking you through, right? So you have to be very careful when you click on certain links which came to your email or a message. So these are the lot of examples you can see here. They'll represent as if they are a genuine government organization, and ask you to submit data there. The moment you submit your username or email ID and password, that means they captured your data, and they might use it for anything. Will not be aware until you might get a call from your friends. Recently you might have seen, um, people are requesting for money, asking to transfer monies, asking, they have got hospitalized, right? And it's emergency, and ask you to transfer amount. But actually speaking, if you try to get in touch with the person, you will not be able to, because that's not his account. They'll try to impersonate you and create same account, like say, they'll use the same profile picture, same ID, and some of your photos what you posted in your social media accounts. They'll try to put the same into their profile, and they'll try to send messages to your friends, asking, they have some medical emergency and they want some funds immediate. Yeah, then comes malware attacks. So how these happens? It can come to your emails, right? I mean, they might send some kind of malicious code to you via email. We might click on that link, right? The moment you click on that, the it comes and sits in our system, and it will try to capture the data from you. Then this is a one which is actually concerning lot of nations, not just small businesses or small organizations. Ransomware attacks are the one which is very risky. And how this works is basically, it's same like malware, right? It comes and sits in our system and will start encrypting your data. So you might have some photos, or you might have company data, or your school data files, lot of files in your system, right? It can be .xls file for Excel, or .doc for Word documents. Now what this ransomware does is, it will start encrypting your data and change the file format. So from .doc it will change to something else, right? And it happens slowly. Like you might have 2000 files in your system, on the desktop, in your C drive, D drive, etc., right? So once the ransomware starts working on your system, it will start slowly. It won't change all the files on day one, because our antivirus might find it out, or or maybe you as a user, you will understand how it is happening. So what they does is, they slowly, one by one they start encrypting the data from your system. Once all that is done, on the left hand side you can see here, right? They'll throw one small wallpaper or image, asking you to make the payment to get a decryption key. So again, I want to show you some kind of stats on that. Yeah, you can see here uh, what all the organizations are, they target is healthcare, financial services, information technology. Yeah, you can see here in 2021 data this is, but you can find out government organizations they targeted 47%, whereas education sector is the second largest, what they targeting, then healthcare. Recently there are a lot of hospitals, most of the clients are, most of the people they don't disclose once they got attacked, right? I mean, because of their reputation. But trust me, if you go and dig little, online, you will be able to find out there are a lot of businesses got shut down overnight because of this ransomware. Simple thing is we are not able to, secure our data by not taking simple steps like say having a secure password for our, network, or our emails, right? Then comes to identity theft. So what is basically identity theft? You know, if you see in our country, right, major data of every user is, yeah, earlier it used to be PAN number, but now it is going to be, Aadhaar, right? Everyone has the Aadhaar, starting from, infant to, adults, right? Everyone has to have Aadhaar card. So the moment the Aadhaar number is compromised, or it been shared, so they can actually take SIM card on your name, right? And they can do anything from there, right? So identity theft is the largest thing, and there are a lot of scams are happening in India right now. Every minute, right? There will be a lot of people, like say, mostly people who is not having awareness of these things, right? Simple, they get a call asking that they need to change the password for some online banking, or they have to update the debit card data. They'll ask the data, I mean they'll ask the OTP from you, right? So the moment you share the OTP, they already have your Aadhaar or something, and that's it. The funds got transferred, or they might have taken some new loan on your name. Anything can happen. So all this happens, because we are not having awareness on the security, right? So this phishing, it can be malware, or data breaches, anything, right? We have to be very vigilant, and we have to create awareness, starting from our students, or the parents who is visiting our schools, how they are actually taking care of their data, right? Then the next major thing what we want to discuss in the session is, how this malware, or even gets into our system. One is, we're talking about emails, right? Yeah, once it is received, maybe our systems has to be protected first, right? If our systems are protected, then this malware even gets into our system, it cannot do major harm, right? But why that is happening? Because most of people, right, we use pirated software, right? So in our survey we found out, right, there's a lot of people using Excel, Word, say Photoshop, Tally, all these things. Yes, all these softwares are good if we use it from a reliable source, right? Reliable source in the sense we should not download it from a third party websites to save some money, or to avoid the cost. What we users intend to do is they just download it, go to Google, browse it, free download they select, and they download it. By doing that, there is a lot of drawbacks in that, so we'll just cover few in that. Yeah, so here we're talking about using pirated software will expose, right, to cyber attacks, viruses, malware, right, and also legal consequences. So how this happens, right? We'll just discuss here. So pirated software can contain malware. So who is actually hosting this pirated software means you wanted to download free. Yes, I agree. But the moment you go and search online, right, there are a lot of people who is actually waiting to send malware to your system. So what they do is they take these softwares, right? Like say it can be any kind of software, right? They one example would be video converters. So now everyone want to edit videos, or they might have taken some in an event, you might have clicked some pictures, birthday events, or your personal parties, you guys might have clicked some photos or videos. Now you want to edit that software, so immediately you will go online, we will start searching for free video converter. What these people does is they actually put some malicious code into that, and they'll host that software online. So we download that and we'll install that, right? That's it. Your system will start getting compromised. That means it will start stealing your data, and it will put some malware into your system. So bundled with the malware and viruses, and these can compromise your computer security, right? So again, you will have your family photos in your system, right? They'll start capturing that and encrypting the data. So you might have like last 10 years, or data of your if it is your personal data, it will be kids photos, all that will be there in your system, right? So they'll start encrypting the data. Once that is done, there is no guarantee you will get that files back for sure. Like I mentioned, right, there are a lot of hospitals which came under ransomware attacks recently. They have to shut down. I mean, they'll not be able to treat the patient. Uh, you know, uh, I, I saw, in hospitality sector also we saw a lot of threats. I mean, a lot of hotels got attacked with the ransomware. So you just imagine their businesses, will get to a halt, and immediately, like say, overnight they will stop their services because they don't know. If it is a hotel, the moment the system got encrypted, the software will stop working, right? So they will not know which guest is in which room, right? They don't know what they consumed. I mean, to do the billing, right? They should know in restaurant what they had. They'll not have any of the data. Everything is gone blank, right? Now imagine it is in hospital. They don't know what patient, which patient taking what treatment, right? The entire operations goes for a toss. Yeah, so this is a major thing. Of course, it comes with the bundled with the malicious code that is called malware, right? The moment it has a malicious code which tend to do damages to your system, it's called malware, right? The next is when you download it from a unreliable source, right? You will not have any updates coming to you, right? You might be seeing in your phone, right? On daily basis, you will be seeing a lot of yeah, sorry for that. In your phone, I'm sure everyone uses Android or iPhones, right? Now, these people, I mean Apple, right? They daily or on regular basis they will be sending updates to your phones, right? So basically, what they're doing is they're trying to patch things. There might be a lot of vulnerabilities, so there will be a lot of open areas where any attack can happen, right? So on regular basis they will be working on those patches to keep your data secured, or their OS secured, so that as a user you can actually be safe. Now same thing happens on the Windows, right? Windows or browser, anything you take, you have to be on updating with the regular patches. One step ahead, you have to create that awareness to your colleagues, or your family members, saying that okay, if your system is not updated, your mobile is not updated, please update that. Create that awareness, right? So even tomorrow if someone is trying to get into their system, that new patch will stop them, stop those attacks, at least, right? That is a one way to protect. um, yeah, again, it contains some malware. Next is no technical support. For example, tomorrow if you face some problem and you want people to support you, the moment they see it's a pirated software, the actual companies, right, like for example Microsoft, they'll not be able to give you updates first of all. Forget about support, right? So we have to be very careful when we opting for those third party sources. So the next major thing is legal consequences for sure, right? Now, if they identify saying that okay, someone is actually using pirated software, those companies, for example, if you take Tally, right, uh, we are not supposed to use that without purchasing the license for sure, right? Now, if they identify that we are using, like say I'm using say pirated software, anytime they can step in. They just come into my place and they say shut down the system and pay this fine. So if the software is costing say 10,000, they will demand us 50,000 or 1 lakh to pay as a fines, right? So we have to be careful on that as well. And if not, they can take any legal action, right? So this is the one of the major concern, right? Like most of the companies in India are say smaller companies or personally, right? uh, Please download the software from only reliable sources. Do not use any third party websites, right? The moment you go and start searching online, like say if I say free drivers, see you will be finding lot of softwares like this: driver easy, driver pack, right? Please do not download anything from something like this, right? So they'll ask you to download this one software, and this software will do the job for you, they'll say, right? But it's a, trust me, these are not the right sources. I'm not getting it here, but please make sure you are not using any kind of third party sources. If it is the website, right, please check the website, how old is the website. Maybe I'll show you how to check that as well. Yeah. So the next is, when you browsing, right, please make sure it is SSL enabled. So what is SSL basically? It's a secure protocol which will be encrypting the transmission. That means, imagine we are communicating, right? I mean, say we are communicating in a language where everyone will understand around us, right? That means whatever we discuss, they will know, isn't it? When you say maybe you are sharing some personal data, like say your account number or your contact number with me, right? Now people who is around us, they will also get to know what is your contact number or what's your date of birth, right? Now imagine that happens on a global level, right? That means when I'm talking to you, I mean we are audible to entire universe. Will you be able to share the data like that? I mean, कोई सुन रहा है हमको, वी डोंट वांट टू डू दैट, राइट? आई मीन हमारा डेटा उनके पास नहीं जाना चाहिए, है ना? सो इमेजिन दैट इज व्हाट हैपनिंग राइट नाउ ऑन द इंटरनेट. Everyone can hear us, right? Yeah, of course there will be a lot of users who might not need our data, right? उनको ज़रूरत नहीं है, but there are a lot of malware or there are a lot of attackers or hackers. They keep waiting what data they can get, right? So what they'll do is they'll capture our data and they'll start using for anything else. Maybe they wanted to impersonate you, right? So how we can avoid that, right? So we have to encrypt the data. That means when I'm talking to you, it should be in a code language only you and me can understand. That's what happens in simple language, if I can say, right? So it encrypts the data when your website, for example, if I'm going to a website, right? Like say, mm, right? Like if I'm going to a website like this and click on sign in, right? The moment I kept my username here, right? And click next. What happens is I am sending my username through internet to Microsoft server where it is hosted. That means, say, if it is hosted in Singapore, right? Now, the moment I click on next here, through internet, my username goes to their server and checks for my credential is available with them or not, first of all, right? Now, while that is happening, in between the data transmission happening from my system, that means from India to Singapore, there are a lot of systems which is helping my data to transfer there, right? Now, while that is happening, there are a lot of people looking at the data, right? Now, if they can read this information, which is my username, and after this, what happens? Obviously, I'll put my password, right? Then what happens? They're able to capture my username and the password. Now, if you don't want that to happen, you have to make sure, right? That means this is enabled. This lock symbol you're seeing here, that is called encryption, SSL, right? Or HTTPS. Now, if this is enabled, that means your data, what you're transmitting, that is secure. That means encrypted, right? Now they'll be able to see the data, but they'll not be able to understand what we are communicating. That means what I'm sending from here, which is Prakash, right? They'll be able to see some kind of encrypted data there. They'll not be able to read out that is actual my name, right? So even if they capture the data, it won't be useful for them. So you have to make sure when you're using online, it can be again for personal or uh, official, you have to make sure you are browsing the website with HTTPS enabled, right? So it is HTTP is unsecured while HTTPS is secured with SSL. So what is SSL encrypt certificate does is it does encryption, right? So there is a lot of levels, right? The banking websites, right? They use the more complicated algorithm, right? That means even if someone is able to decrypt the data, right? I mean they'll not be able to decrypt. It will take hundreds of years for them to decryption. Again, that is not possible, I can say, right? So they use something military grade encryption, I can say. So people will not be able to crack that in any ways. Yeah, why it is important? Uh, because when you're doing a banking transaction or sending personal mail or official mail, you don't want people to know what you're communicating. So simple thing is we have to check this lock symbol here, right? You take any website now, all websites are should be secured with this, and yes, it is by default enabled from many providers now. Why? Because this will give you online reputation as well. Yeah. So next thing is, right, your authentication methods, right? How you're using your system, right? It can be a simple password. I can say, most of the users does use their passwords as 123456, or their first name at 123, or their first name at say uh, current year, right? So we have to be very careful there. So best practices is to use some combination of letters and symbols, etc. Right? So I'll just take you one example here. Now, like I mentioned, right, most of the people use commonly they use password like 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? See, how much time it takes for them to crack that password is 0 seconds. Now, imagine, like, say, Prakash at 1 2 3. See, okay, again, if I take out the symbol, it's even lesser, right? Now, yeah, if it is just name, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, maybe you might not be having this much weak password, this kind of weak password, but I'm sure. Check with your friends or check with your family members who is elderly at your home, right? Just ask them, their passwords will be something like this, right? And you are communicating to them on regular basis. So that means, we all at risk, right? So the moment you make it some kind of symbol, right, it taking little higher than that. Now, instead of 1 2 3, I use say something like this randomly. Now that is taking them to, from minutes it went to years, right? Now I want to make little more complicated, so I'll make one of the letter as a, see, from this 52 years. Now I made one letter as a caps. Say this. So this 2189 is nowhere. Like, say, it cannot be year, right? Of any date of birth or something. We can make it more complicated. I mean, or else use certain password generators if you want. Uh, yeah. So this is one of the simple thing which we can start doing immediately and change for all the devices, right? So what is the tips here? See, not only your name, please avoid your family members' names as well, right? Um, and then the two-factor authentication. I'm sure most of you might be using already. Two-factor authentication is nothing but, you will be linking, your email ID with the mobile number, right? Now, banking's websites, though, they are, mandatory now. They have to use two-factor authentication. The moment you put username password, you have to get a OTP to your, mobile or email. Post that only you will be able to do certain transaction, right? It's a, that is a two-factor authentication. So please make sure that is enabled for all your services, whatever you're using. Like, it can be an email, it can be, data storage, like, places, or even for pen drive, right? You should be able to enable these things. So another one more I want to show you here. Now, why the password strength is very important is, please visit this website called Have I Been Pawned. You guys will be sharing this data, uh, you know, in the next email or WhatsApp. So if you put your email ID here, right? See, where and all email ID is, compromised. That means, see, now these are the websites which I registered years back. Adobe, Big Basket, you might have heard, right? Dropbox, you might have heard. So it is actually, 2012, their data is compromised. Then Paytm, right, in 2020, so was reported as having suffered a data breach and such subsequent ransom demand. Right, someone captured the data and they asked for, ransom. Obviously, or else they will disclose the data. That's what they will say. They will do. And see this. That is 3.4 million unique email addresses. So what all is compromised? Date of birth, email address, their addresses, their income level, phone numbers, right? All this data is compromised. Twitter. that happened recently, right? Early 2023. Again, the data what is compromised is email addresses, name, and social media profiles. Yeah. So here I want to highlight one more thing is please have a different passwords, right? I mean, yeah, that's going to be difficult to start with, I can say, but please start using a different passwords, right? Why? Because see, the moment if my password is same for Twitter and my email account, so it makes easier for the hackers to log into my other platforms as well, right? Better use a password managers, right? There'll be like free password managers for the personal use. You can start with that. That will give you a lot of easy to store your passwords. Yeah. So when it comes to sensitive data, so what is sensitive data here? It can be your Aadhaar number. It can be your date of birth, PAN number. Uh, so this is personal identification data, right? If you're talking about office, it can be what is the your company's bank account numbers, right? What is the admin account? In the sense like who is having the full access, right? Those usernames. For the systems also, make sure you are not having the full access all the time, right? That means you create a user and start using the system in that user access level, right? So sensitive data should be protected like asset. So what are the data? So yeah, like mentioned, Aadhaar, PAN number, addresses, date of birth, all this comes into sensitive data. Financial information, bank accounts, credit card numbers, of course, right? Again, user data. If you're hosting, say, applications, right, user data is going to be very critical for us. Again, to protect the sensitive data, you have to use, these practices starting immediately if you're not already, right? So the main thing what we need is awareness or say training. Training is a most important for people to we have to conduct on regular basis to users to create that awareness. It can be our colleagues, it can be our family members, right? We have to on regular basis we have to keep training them, uh, creating that awareness what is happening, how we can actually protect the data and all, right? Then comes to your network level security, right? And also antivirus. So what is network security? When you have like multiple devices, uh, I'm sure at home you will be having a broadband. Now you might be having a system, one laptop, multiple mobiles in the network, right? All this should be having proper. Of course, first it should be up to date with all the latest updates or patches, I can say, and then the firewall should be also enabled. So how these firewalls what does is it will filter the traffic, what kind of data is getting transmitted, what protocols to be enabled, all that you can enable in these firewalls. So if you talk about in office premise, right, you can actually restrict which user can access what websites, right? So we can categorically block the sites saying that um, where users can download free softwares, right? We should block those places. Why? Because the moment you like we discussed, right, the moment we enable that option, they will download any third party softwares and they'll start using it, because of course it will save time for you to download quickly and do it, but that is going to create a long term complications, right? Then firewalls. So again, so it can be in your system you can enable the firewall, by default it should be enabled. Then your network level firewalls. So there are a lot of like say hardware firewalls, software firewalls are there. Even cloud based, we can enable the firewalls these days. Then antivirus. Uh, this is antivirus. I'm not saying it is going to give 100% protection, but it can be a added level to your security aspect. It will try to detect if you are using if you're downloading some kind of malware, uh, but it is not 100% guarantee, right? It is a added layer of security for you. Of course, it will detect malware, viruses, and cyber threats. Yeah. So here, I'm sure you might be thinking why it is not 100% is threats are getting evolved on daily basis. That means today, if there is a virus, right now, if your antivirus is able to identify that virus, right, tomorrow the person who created the virus, right, he will not keep that as it is. He will try to evolve that change the code so that your antivirus will not detect immediately tomorrow, until unless it understand the behavior, all that process. But by then, maybe you might incur some losses, right? That means you might have lost some data. So yeah, again, antivirus should be up to date in your systems, right? And it should be downloaded from a genuine websites. Yeah, so this is the session today. I mean, also I want to cover a few more points. I'm sure most of schools are facing some kind of data management, right? Like say, always use cloud solution. Like say, avoid using pen drives. Why? Because pen drives can be used for a personal use, but still they might give you guarantee. Like say, they'll give you when you're buying a pen drive or something, they'll give you warranty of 2 years, 3 years, like that, right? But that is only for the hardware. If your data is compromised or like say crashed, right, they'll not be able to recover the data for you, right? So they might replace the pen drive for you, but you'll not get the data back. So please start using the cloud based solutions to store your data, right? Like a Google Drive, OneDrive, those things. You can see this map here. It is the kind of threats is happening on a global level right now, right? From different countries, what kind of threats are happening live. That means right now it is happening, right? From Sri Lanka, from China, from United States, right? Even from, see, you can see here, from India, not from India to India, there are like some kind of, so how this is happening is, I mean, how these guys are able to monitor is, they're having their gateways enabled across the globe, right? So the moment they see some kind of malicious traffic going on, they are analyzing it. They are not sure who is the user, or they might not be able to pinpoint the user who is getting attacked, but they're seeing the behavior, right? So that's how they are able to identify these threats. Yeah, so I want to discuss one more point quickly today. When you uploading data, right, always use a compressed formats. Why? Because we are getting a lot of queries from schools. Um, so you can actually use this tool called again. This I'll share it in the link here. Allow me a second. Right, so here you can actually compress the files, even merge the files. Like say, now say you have five PDF files, right? Five different PDF files. You can merge all that into one single document, right? Page one, page two, page three, like that. You can fill and sign. You can edit the document. You can compress the document. So we are seeing lot of users, they're uploading the data in very high resolution, and that is causing a lot of trouble. So please ensure that you compress that files here. Upload the PDF file. you can get the instructions here. So I shared this link already. Then yeah, these links also will share it. So please do let us know if you have any questions. Okay. Hi, Mr. Vikas. Yeah. So ransomware. So ransomware is kind of a software or a malware which will get into our system. So I'll show you maybe an example here. Yeah. You can see here. So these are the so basically these are the simple folders. But you can see here your .txt file changed to .crYpt, and this is not common. I mean, this is not the one single format they use. So basically your .doc, right? If I open my system, you'll be able to see like some kind of documents and all, right? Just allow me a second. Right, if you see here, these are the Excel files. You can see here, right? Now these files, if I change it to, like, say, now if I rename it like this, right, then I'll not be able to open the document. That means my file format itself is changed. But here what they do is they encrypting the file, right? That means, see, you can see this another example. Let me see if I can get a high resolution. And these ransomware, on regular basis there is new ransomwares are coming up. So you'll not be able to, I mean, even antivirus companies, right, they keep working on daily basis, day and night, to release new patches for these new ones. As I mentioned, they people will not put this information publicly, but that's the reason we are not able to see these files. See, there is something called Locky ransomware. Yeah. So this image you can see here, right? The files got changed to .aesir, right? That means we don't know, that can be a document, that can be a Excel file, or that can be image, right? Photos which got compromised here. So in the documents folder of the user, there are so many files got encrypted like this, right? Your database files can get encrypted. Everything, they will not leave any one file in your system, right? Slowly they'll encrypt all the files, and they'll simply show the screen in the next one. I mean, once all the files is encrypted, they'll show you warning like this. They'll ask you, yeah, they'll ask you to transfer the money. Now governments, right, even the you know big countries like US and all, they're not able to track these guys. Why? Because they demand money through bitcoins, which is again, you cannot trace it where the money went, right? Now they'll give you time, and if you don't transfer the amount, they'll say, they'll not be able to give you a decryption key. But there is so many cases which is recorded, even after transferring the money, they have not given the decryption key, right? So you can see here, payment, they'll keep increasing on every couple of hours. If you don't pay within 4 hours, you know I'm really sorry, there's the internet disconnection at my place. It's raining here. So, yeah. Hi, Shuman. Yeah, I'm seeing your question. When you're using a licensed software, so it depends on the software to software, right? I mean, we have to, report this to the particular, make sure maybe there is a version change.